So here is the mod editor for Infinite Ascension version 0.1 and probably an early 0.1 at that. What I'm going to show off today is creating a new ship for a mod. That's what I've sort of rigged up primarily in the mod editor so far. So we'll basically be creating a ship. We're going to load it into the game. So when you say new ship, you basically just select a mesh or a model. In this case, I already have a model picked out. It's a little big, but it should work fine for our purposes. And then you can name the ship. In this case, I'm going to call it a Raptor class fighter, as it sounds. Half sci-fi, half fighter. Sounds good. So now that I've added it, you can open up the tree view, and you can actually view the ship in the editor. And as you can see, it's still pretty large, so I wasn't able to view it right away. By viewing out, I can. What I can do is show the alignment axis, which is going to basically give me a good idea of which way the ship is pointing and the size of it. So if I compare it to another ship, you can see that the current ship is much bigger than the regular other ships. So we're going to shrink this baby down to about a 50th of its size. The other thing you can see is it's currently pointing up the green axis. So what we're going to want to do is rotate this model of allowed rotation so that you can get those art assets in the game easier, not have modelers worrying about which way they need to make sure they're pointing their ships or anything like that. That seems kind of trivial when a game can handle it fairly easily. So now we've got our model and it's oriented properly. So we're going to turn off the alignment axis. The other thing we are going to want to look at is the bounding radius. So the game currently uses a circle to do all of its bounding. This is easy to calculate, and for now it does the job pretty well. And per pixel hit detection really isn't required for a 2D shooter. So this is what I'm using. And you can see here we'll sort of size it up. I leave a little bit of the model hanging over. You want to give the player that kind of feeling that, ooh man, I just dodged that shot. And doing that will give him that sort of rush. But it won't take away too much from people who are actually shooting at the ship, as there's still a pretty good sized area in which they can put rounds in. So that's got our bounding sphere. We can start putting up some thrusters here. So basically the thrusters are either particles, which you can see here, or billboard chains currently. I may implement more thruster types, but for now that's what I've got. In this case I'm going to implement a light ribbon trail chain billboard chain thruster, and that's primarily because I've actually done it before and it looks halfway decent. It looks pretty good. So what we can do is turn off the bounding sphere and go to wireframe mode, and we can see that the thruster is actually currently inside the ship. And that's just its default value set to 0, 0, 0, which is right there. So what we're going to want to do, we're going to turn textures back on so we can see where we want to put these thrusters. And the other thing we can do is lock the mode to the top. This will allow us to point and click and position the thruster wherever we want to on our 3D view. So now I can see the thruster and I've positioned it up on the left wing. But I actually want to lock it again to the back. Locking at the top allows me to do front to back and side to side, but doesn't allow me to do up and down. So now by using the back I can actually do the up and down and position it even closer to that point on that model where I'm trying to aim for. The one thing I can sort of tell here is that this thruster is a little bit too wide. Zoom in, it's overshadowing the actual thruster portion of the texture. I didn't mean to do that. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to shorten it down a little bit, so I've shrunk it down by 60% or so. And it looks okay. The other thing that strikes out at me is that the color just isn't right. So we're going to give it a color of red to match the output of that texture. And that looks pretty good. It seems to match the model well enough, and it actually looks kind of nice. So we can keep looking at this thruster from different angles, make sure it's exactly what we want. So next up, we're going to add a weapon to the model. You don't actually need to select a model in this case because the weapon that we're adding is basically like a hard point. It's not going to show up in the game. It's simply going to be a location to which players can equip weapons. So we're going to show the wireframe, and then we're going to show weapon slots so you can see where it shows up. You see this little white box that pops up in the middle of the model. That's currently the indicator for a weapon slot. So what we're going to want to do is position that again on the model itself. So we can select the weapon. We can lock the view to the top again and position this thing on the left wing. So if you go back to free view, we can see it's positioned on top of that left wing. In this case, we won't have to re-lock and do it back because all the weapon slots will be on the flat 2D plane, so you're not gonna be able to push that into the model. In this case, this model might actually want to be translated up a little bit so that the weapons do appear to be coming out of a spot, but for now this will work out fine for us. So that's basically how you can rig up a simple thruster and a simple weapon in the game, and I'm going to go ahead and rig up the rest of this ship so we can put it in and actually use it, and that'll be up in the next video, which should be fairly soon. Thanks.